So this is my 2015 Dodge Challenger Scat Pack. I've had the car about 2 years. Absolutely love it. Haven't really done much to it. I did add a Hellcat hood that I found online just by chance, and it happened to be the same color, so I had to do the swap. I kept the old hood. It's up there on the ceiling. But anyway, powered by a 6.4 Hemi. Really like it. It's a great engine. Gobs of power. It's rated at 485. It might put out more than that. Definitely doesn't put that down to the ground, but a lot of guys that dyno these are getting probably 415 to 420 at the wheels. Great all-around street car. And I bought this because I had a G-body Monte Carlo that I'd LS swapped, and I had it for years. It was a great car, but it was just kind of time to move forward. And the Challenger was probably the next closest thing to being a modern car like that. Big, two-door with a V8 and a T-handled shifter. It's just something I really liked. So one of the small issues with the car is that it only comes with a 245 rear tire on a 20-inch wheel. And that's not really wide for a car that's got 485 horsepower. It does okay on the street, but if you want to take it to the track, it does not hook. Especially these tires. There's some Goodyear or something or another, and they're hard as heck, and they just don't grip. I think what a lot of guys do is they'll put drag radials on the back to go to the track, and some people struggle with putting say a 305 on it. Now, some of these cars come with a 275 and it fits just fine, but if you want a 305, you have to make some changes to the back end. And if you want a smaller wheel, some guys have to make changes to the rear end as well. What happens is the 17-inch and smaller diameter rims will come in contact with the rear sway bar just gently up in the rear. The lighting's terrible, but you can see up in here there's a sway bar, and it comes up and over the rear axle, and it will touch the inside of the wheel. So some guys will relocate this and run like a 15-inch successfully. That is, if they can get a brake kit that'll allow a 15-inch to fit. A lot of guys, I think, will run like 17s. It might be the smallest wheel you can put on here with these brakes. I purchased some drag radials and wheels for this car to take to the track from Summit. Pretty good price on them. There's just an aluminum, cast aluminum, kind of a knockoff of these wheels. They fit pretty good. They are an 18-inch. They do fit. So what I'd like to show is how I made them fit and what they are, and maybe describe how much I spent for it and what it took to get them on. So looking under the car, we can see the primary area of concern when you're trying to run a 305. This inner liner right here, it's fine, with a stock tire, but as soon as you put a 305 in here, it's going to take up a lot of this. And what happens is the tire just kind of rubs this liner. It's really flimsy and easily movable. Not sure it would actually cause a problem if it rubbed. It might even rub through, but most people don't want to take any chances with that. And regarding the rim size, right up here is a sway bar. And when you jack the car all the way up, this sway bar comes really close to the inside of the wheel. And if you run 17, they will hit. Lowered all the way down, I think they might clear. Some people get away with it. Others just shorten this link right here and make it fit regardless. So with my 18-inch wheels, this sway bar will barely touch the inside of the rim with the car jacked all the way up. The touch is so slight that it doesn't even really chip the paint or anything like that. It'll knock the dust off, and that's about it. So this is the drag wheel tire that I ended up going with. It's an 18-inch Bravado Performance from Summit. I think these were, I want to say 150 a piece. So it's an 18 by 20 And what I got fitted to that is a Mickey Thompson ET Street R 305 45 18, and that's the expensive part. These tires I think were 330 a piece or something like that. Harder to find them used. People tend to use them up. I tried to look around for them. I just ended up getting new. But overall, the wheel, pretty good price for what it is. And it's surprisingly light. It looks pretty good on the car. Looks like it's supposed to be there. And for a cheap cast wheel, it's just fine for going to the strip. And comparing the forged aluminums that are on this car versus this, I'd say they weigh probably about the same. While having to jack up the car to get drag wheels and tires on it at the track is kind of a pain in the butt, there's one thing I really like about the Challenger. It comes with a factory jacking post in the rear. I wish it had one in the front, but it doesn't. You can jack it in the front, but they've got locations marked out to put a jack, and it's not very convenient. But for all intents and purposes, I think having a post in the rear is really handy. You can just slide it on in. And away we go. So with the wheel off, we can see the inner fender well, this cheap plastic. And what you got to do to make a 305 fit is you pop this guy out right here, this little plastic rivet. You pop him out, slide the liner back away from the shock, put another hole in it, and it's easy. It's like a 3/8 drill or something. Put another hole in it real quick, and then pop him back in. And what this will do it will move this liner back away from the tire quite a bit, probably an inch of clearance or so. But I'll check it out once I get the drag radial back on there, and we'll see how much clearance it's got. So with the drag radial installed and the modification made, you can see we got lots of clearance there. It is an 18-inch wheel, but it does clear the sway bar. We got about 3/4 of an inch to an inch there of clearance. So yeah, pretty good fit for the money. Hooks really well. I've been pretty happy with them.